I don't think people understand the true nature of Silver Heights, a name that conjures images of grandeur and elegance, a place where dreams are said to come true. The name itself dripped with a deceptive beauty, a siren's call to the unsuspecting. From afar, the city shimmered, a beacon of progress and hope. Its skyline, a testament to human ambition, reached for the heavens. But beneath the gleaming facade, a darkness festered. The shadows of Silver Heights were not just cast by the towering buildings, but by the lives crushed beneath them. The streets, choked with smog and despair, were a labyrinth of broken dreams, whispered tales of forgotten dreams and broken promises. Each corner held a story, each alley a secret. It was a city that could crush the soul, grind it down to dust beneath its uncaring heel. The weight of the city was felt in every breath, every step, grind it down to dust beneath its uncaring heel. The relentless march of time and neglect left its mark on every surface.
I knew this truth all too well. Growing up in Silver Heights, I had seen the city's dual nature firsthand. Growing up in the shadow of Silver Heights' towering skyscrapers, my life was a constant struggle against the encroaching darkness. The city's beauty was a mask, hiding its true face. My life was a constant struggle against the encroaching darkness. Every day was a battle, every night a test of endurance. I had seen firsthand the city's corrosive touch, the way it could turn decent people into desperate shadows. Friends, neighbors, even family members were not immune to its grasp. The way it could turn decent people into desperate shadows. The city had a way of consuming hope, leaving only despair in its wake. Now, the city had taken something precious from me, my brother Alex. He was more than just a sibling. He was my anchor in this turbulent sea. He had vanished into the labyrinthine streets, another victim swallowed by the urban abyss. The city had claimed him, just as it had claimed so many others. Another victim swallowed by the urban abyss. The shadows seemed to have a life of their own, reaching out to ensnare the unwary. The police, jaded and overworked, had dismissed his disappearance as just another runaway case. To them, he was just another statistic, another lost soul in a city full of them. But I refused to give up hope. I would find Alex, even if it meant facing the darkest corners of Silver Heights alone. My determination was my only weapon against the encroaching darkness, even if it meant facing the darkest corners of Silver Heights alone. The city had taken so much from me, but it would not take my hope.
She clutched the crumpled flyer in her hand, the words "missing person" a constant reminder of her relentless quest. Each crease in the paper was a testament to her desperation. The words "missing person," a constant reminder of her relentless quest. The face on the poster was a haunting echo of happier times. The city held its breath, a silent observer to her grief and determination. The fog seemed to close in, as if the city itself was watching her every move. Evelyn would find her brother. She had to. The city had taken so much, but it would not take her resolve. Even if it meant confronting the shadows themselves. She would walk through the darkest alleys, face the most terrifying corners, and she would not stop until she found him. If you want to join Evelyn on her journey and uncover more of Silver Heights secrets, don't forget to subscribe, share, and like this video. Your support means everything. Stay tuned for more chapters and help us spread the word. Together, we can shine a light on the shadows.
My quest had become an obsession. Every waking moment was consumed by thoughts of Alex, and even in my dreams, his face haunted me. The search for him had taken over my life, leaving no room for anything else. I had to find him, no matter the cost. Days bled into nights, the city's rhythm a relentless drumbeat against my raw nerves. The constant hum of traffic, the distant sirens, and the chatter of people all blended into a cacophony that mirrored the chaos in my mind. I wandered the streets, my eyes scanning every face, hoping for a glimpse of Alex. I scoured the streets, my face a familiar sight in the grimy diners and smoky bars that Alex frequented. Each place held a memory, a fragment of our past. But now they were just shadows of what once was. I spoke to anyone who would listen, asking questions, following leads, but always coming up empty-handed. Each dead end, each whispered rumor, chipped away at my resolve, leaving me feeling hollow and lost. The weight of despair settled heavily on my shoulders, and there were moments when I wondered if I would ever find him. But giving up was not an option. I had to keep going for Alex's sake. But one lead, however, offered a glimmer of hope. It was a small, almost insignificant detail, but it was enough to reignite the fire within me. a name, a place, a clue that could potentially unravel the mystery of Alex's disappearance. A faded tattoo on the arm of a known informant pointed to a shadowy organization known only as the Game. The tattoo was a symbol, a mark of those who had been drawn into its dark web. It was a dangerous lead, but it was the only one I had. Rumors swirled around it, whispers of a twisted competition where the stakes were life and death. The Game was said to be a place where the desperate went to find salvation, but more often than not, they found only despair. It was a world of shadows and secrets, and I was about to step into it. The informant, his voice raspy and low, claimed that Alex had gotten involved with the Game just before his disappearance. I knew the risks. The stories I had heard were enough to make anyone think twice, but I had no choice. Alex was in danger, and I had to find him. The Game was said to prey on the desperate, offering them a chance at salvation while dragging them further into the darkness. It was a cruel irony, a twisted promise that lured people in with the hope of escape, only to ensnare them in a web of deceit and danger. But what choice did I have? The thought of Alex trapped in that world, alone and afraid, was more than I could bear. I had to find him, even if it meant risking everything. The fear gnawed at me, but the love I had for Alex was stronger. I had to find Alex, even if it meant venturing into the heart of the city's underbelly. The streets grew darker, the shadows longer, as I made my way deeper into the unknown. Every step was a step closer to danger, but also a step closer to finding Alex.
Clutching the informant's cryptic message, an address scrawled on a torn piece of paper, Evelyn felt a surge of adrenaline. The address was a beacon, a destination that held the promise of answers. It was a small piece of the puzzle, but it was enough to give her hope. Evelyn felt a surge of adrenaline. Her heart raced as she thought about what lay ahead. The fear was there, but so was the determination. She had come too far to turn back now. Every fiber of her being was focused on one goal: finding Alex. It was a dangerous gamble, but it was her only chance. The risks were high, but the stakes were even higher. Alex's life was on the line, and she couldn't afford to fail. The thought of losing him forever was unbearable. She hailed a cab, the city lights blurring past as she sped towards the unknown. The rain-soaked streets reflected the turmoil in her heart, a mix of fear and hope. The journey was a blur, a rush of emotions and thoughts as she prepared herself for what was to come. Her heart pounded in her chest, a frantic rhythm against the backdrop of the city's relentless pulse. The anxiety was almost overwhelming, but she pushed it aside. She had to stay focused, had to keep her wits about her. There was no room for doubt or hesitation. She was walking into the lion's den. The alleyway was dark and foreboding, the shadows seeming to reach out and grab at her. But she walked with purpose, her steps steady and sure. She was ready to face whatever lay ahead, but she wouldn't back down. Not now, not when Alex's life hung in the balance. The determination in her eyes was clear, a reflection of the love and desperation that drove her. She would find Alex, no matter what it took. The journey was far from over, but she was ready to face it head-on. The taxi deposited her in front of a dilapidated warehouse, its silhouette a jagged scar against the bruised sky. The building loomed ominously, a relic of forgotten times, its windows shattered and walls crumbling. The setting sun cast long shadows, making the structure appear even more foreboding. The air hung heavy, thick with the stench of decay and the promise of rain. It was as if the very atmosphere was conspiring to keep secrets hidden within the warehouse's walls. The scent of mold and rust mingled with the faint, acrid smell of something long dead, creating an almost tangible sense of dread. This was a place forgotten by time, a breeding ground for secrets and shadows. The warehouse seemed to pulse with a life of its own, whispering tales of forgotten souls and lost dreams. Every corner, every crevice seemed to hold a story, waiting to be uncovered by those brave enough to venture inside. This was where she would find the Game. The Game, a mysterious and dangerous challenge that had claimed many before her. It was said that those who entered rarely emerged unchanged, if they emerged at all. The stakes were high, and the rules were shrouded in mystery.
Taking a deep breath, I pushed open the heavy metal door, its hinges groaning in protest. The sound echoed through the empty space, a haunting reminder of the isolation that awaited inside. The door's resistance felt like a final warning, urging me to turn back, but I pressed on. The interior was cavernous, swallowed by darkness. The vast emptiness seemed to stretch on forever, with only the faintest outlines of forgotten machinery and discarded crates breaking the monotony. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the occasional drip of water from the leaking roof. A single bare bulb cast a sickly yellow glow, revealing walls stained with damp and neglect. The light flickered intermittently, casting eerie shadows that danced across the room. The walls, once vibrant with life and activity, now stood as silent witnesses to the passage of time and the decay that had set in. The air was thick with the smell of dust and something else, something metallic and vaguely sinister. It was a scent that spoke of old blood and rusted metal, of violence and despair. The combination was almost suffocating, making it difficult to breathe. Fear coiled in my stomach, cold and tight. I wasn't alone. The sensation of being watched was overwhelming, as if unseen eyes were tracking my every move. The shadows seemed to shift and move, playing tricks on my mind, heightening my sense of paranoia.
3 figures emerged from the shadows, their faces obscured by the gloom. They moved with a predatory grace, their intentions unreadable. Each step they took seemed to echo with a sense of purpose, a silent declaration of their dominance in this forsaken place. Each one exuded an aura of danger, a palpable tension that crackled in the silence. Their presence was intimidating, a stark reminder of the peril that lay ahead. The air between them was charged, as if a single wrong move could set off a chain reaction of violence. They were players in the game, she realized, their eyes watching her with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. Their gazes were piercing, as if they could see through her facade and into her very soul. The weight of their scrutiny was almost unbearable, but she stood her ground. She had entered their world, a world where the rules were unwritten and the stakes impossibly high. This was a place where trust was a rare commodity and alliances were fleeting. Every decision, every action could mean the difference between life and death.
A chill ran down my spine. The realization of the gravity of my situation hit me like a tidal wave. I was in over my head, but there was no turning back now. As I met their gaze, their eyes were cold, calculating, and filled with a silent challenge. It was clear that they were testing me, waiting to see if I would falter. They were all bound by this place, by the secrets it held and the game they were forced to play. The warehouse was more than just a building. It was a prison, a labyrinth of shadows and secrets that ensnared all who entered. I could feel the weight of their past sins, the desperation that clung to them like a shroud. Each one of them carried a burden, a story of regret and loss that had led them to this moment. Their faces, though obscured, spoke volumes of the pain and suffering they had endured. But I had a purpose here, a reason to face my fear. I wasn't just another player. I had a mission, a goal that drove me forward despite the terror that threatened to consume me. I had come for Alex, and I wouldn't leave without him. The thought of him gave me strength, a beacon of hope in the darkness. I would navigate this treacherous game, uncover its secrets, and find him, no matter the cost.